Capricorn, this is your April 2022 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, my readings are general, but we are going to give you some key astrological dates to look out for and messages to go along with that will hopefully help you move through this next few weeks with a greater sense of ease. Now we're going to open up April's energy with the Empress. Now, of course, we're going to be illuminating fourth house in Aries season for you, which really connects into the home within us, the roots of our very being. And of course, that archetypal energy of the mother, the way in which we need to inner parent ourselves. And in some ways, I think there's an understanding from Capricorn this month that you can really only go as far as the parts of yourself that you've left behind. So I see this month being a little bit of a cleanup operation at the same time as the continuance of moving forward, because in those quiet moments there needs to be a pause and an assimilation of all that was really learned and understood. Because sometimes when we're so caught up in the external kind of frenetic, chaotic activities, we sort of lose touch with that part of ourselves and what's going on beneath the surface. And fourth house energy really invites us to contemplate and consider where we go in those quiet moments. Now we're going to be opening up this month with a new moon in the sign of Aries. It's coming in at 11 degrees and it's going to be conjunct with Chiron, the wounded healer, and also with Mercury, planet of communication, as well as Pallas Athena, the asteroid goddess. All of these also in the energy of Aries. So we have this new beginning, this fresh start that's seeking deliberate intention from you. But at the same time, Chiron is here to say that there's some profound healing required and some forgiveness. So before we get to move forward, there's something that we need to address. And it's really about getting to the roots of things. Now, with the Empress energy coming through here, there may be a strong influence for some of you moving through this month in terms of the relationship with strong female energies in your life, with the mother or the archetypal mother energy. But even you yourself are sitting in a place of quietness and stillness here. Everything is blossoming around you, and even if you look around and feel that this isn't the case, this is a reminder to go within and actually recognize how far you've come from an energetic perspective, which isn't always seen with the physical eyes. And that's important, because what we need to remember is that whatever comes next for us in terms of like showing up on our pathway is often some sort of a match vibrationally to where we are. And so the more focus we can put on becoming the future version of all that we are, which the Empress suggests is one of abundance, one of beautiful fertility, creativity, very generative and compassionate and kind, then you have the opportunity to give yourself the best possible opportunity to like pre-pave into what comes next for you. Now the Six of Wands here, I love coming in with the Empress because it tells me that the outcome of that work, the outcome of anything that you're doing creatively or of the soul work that you're doing, of being able to find deeper forgiveness and compassion to the self and others, actually leads to this beautiful outcome where you find the sweetness. Hummingbirds are so exquisite and beautiful, and it's a really interesting month, April, because we have all this fire energy with Aries that's kind of bringing in an intensity. It sort of stirs up some frustration, some anger sometimes, but it also motivates us and gives us that cardinal quality to really get going and to be the pioneer and to initiate new things. But we have such strong influence and continuance of Piscean energy that we also have this kind of drifting away, losing focus, softly, tuning in more sensitively, emerging. And so it makes for a sort of strange bedfellows with one another, you know, where one minute you might feel like really high and kind of charged and almost amped up, too much energy, and then very quickly deflated, lost focus, just quite dreamy and drifting off. So be aware of that as a sort of environmental kind of subtext, if you like, that's kind of going on beneath the surface. Venus moves into Pisces on the 5th, and then we have Mars going into Pisces the 14th, Juno, the asteroid goddess, on the 20th. We're also going to be welcoming this rare auspicious alignment with Jupiter and Neptune conjunct happening on the 12th. You'll be feeling that between the 8th and the 12th. once in a lifetime, you know. It last happened in 1856. So there's something really beautiful about what it can unearth, and it's very effective at really reminding us what the bigger, grander vision ought to be. And no better depiction than that of the Ten of Cups, which I think is again giving you pause to really reflect on what it is that you've learned. The other thing that I think is really interesting about the fourth house is it really teaches us about not only our origins, you know, like where we come from connects us into our ancestral energy and lineage, but it also helps us to come to terms with how we end things, how we resolve things, or kind of bring about closure. Now, the tens are always about a point of completion. And we have this full moon in Libra coming in on the 16th. Of course, that's going to invite a surrendering and a release and a let go, especially around relationships. So with the understanding that what we're learning is about how we show up in that capacity, if we're trying to bring in a better quality of relationship, if we're moving on from someone, or if we're leaving or departing any kind of a situation, or still grappling or wrestling with that, there's really deep healing and understanding that's coming through in the course of April to help you manage that in a way that's more conducive to your soul's growth. Yeah, it's enabling you to learn from your experiences, but also to find a better way for you, because we do need to remember that however we end something is often the energy that we're carrying into the next chapter. And here you've got some gorgeous energies that are really indicative and want to highlight to you the promise and the possibility of a deeper sense of emotional contentment and feeling victorious within that, you know. But for me, it's just like this quiet emotional contentment that's coming in deep in the root within you. That's the fourth house. That's the home, the emotional foundations that's going on inside. So keep that in mind as you move through this month, because I think there's going to be some tests, some challenges, and some observations to make about the ways in which you are choosing to end things, resolve things, or bring about closure for yourself to help facilitate how you move on in whatever area that might be showing up for you, okay? So that full moon in Libra does have a little bit of a intense feeling as it's squaring with Pluto. Now, of course, you know, the saga of Pluto and Capricorn continues. You're well versed with what it's been teaching you these past few years, and we have a continuation of it for some time, and it's going to be going retrograde on the 29th of the month. But I think this is a month for Capricorn where you're really starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Who or what was slowing you down, you're now seeing the release of that. There's a kind of breaking free of the chains, so to speak. Nine of Cups comes in again with this sort of desire to want to indulge in the heart space. That makes sense, because of course when we go into Taurus season, it lights up that fifth house energy for you, which is about, you know, the whole relationship that you have to pleasure in your life. And more than ever right now, that can be something that has perhaps been, you know, deeply suppressed because of what you've been through, what you've been observing in the collective. And it's almost like, you know, what right do I have, or how dare I, or I don't have time for this, or, you know, it's so far away from what my experience is, it's hard to find or hold on to. And sometimes that Nine of Cups can elicit those feelings of like it's here and then it's gone, you know. I just get to enjoy something and then the rug gets pulled from me. But you do have this sense with the Empress, with the Ten of Cups, it's like, no, there's something here that wants to be more lasting, more significant. And remember, the Empress understands how the seasons and the cycles work. You know, she's very at peace with the regenerative process that nature goes through, knowing that there's a time for everything to come into its bloom. So accept that this month is also going to bring about some fluctuations for you in terms of how you how present you feel, I guess, how emotionally available you are for yourself and others. But deeper within that is an invitation, I think, to just be more compassionate, have a deeper sense of compassionate witnessing for yourself and others, and really addressing how that emotional expression is showing up for you, okay? The sensitivity that's emerging in this reading is coming from this place of love, and it's amazing actually how strong the feats that we can unearth within ourselves, how determined we can feel and against all the odds, and what we can achieve when it comes from a place of love. And it's a real invitation again, I think, for you to reevaluate what it is that you're being fueled by, because this month wants you to come back home to the self, to make sure that things have been processed, you're back in touch with who you are, you're allowing that inner parenting to take place. Because here then you emerge with the Seven of Wands with enough strength to literally pull back these bars of steel. Now, some of the tattoos here are also showing conflict, and some anger and frustration. And, you know, this may be a part of the equation. You know, there might also be frustration energy. Channeled in the right way when we're in Aries season can be incredibly effective, because it can really catapult and empower us to be able to move on. But ultimately, we have to still come from a kind, loving, compassionate place. And remember, this is also a month that is asking for forgiveness. Like, who and what do you need to forgive? Because in order to move forward and really release yourself properly, to welcome in some of these new emotional experiences that are trying to show up for you, and to resolve, let go, and bring closure to things in a really healthy way, you need to be aware of this, okay? Now, we have Mercury in Taurus from the 10th of the month. The way that we communicate becomes a little bit more deliberate and thoughtful. In a fellow earth sign, this is going to be helpful. And especially as we move into the second half of April and the sun shifting into Taurus, King of Pentacles here, you feel even more like yourself, okay? So there's this natural essence and energy that seems to be returning, and I like that for you. Now let's be aware, we're coming into eclipse season again. We've got another new moon this month in Taurus coming in on the 30th solar eclipse. You look quite rooted and grounded here. With the King of Pentacles showing up again, it gives me sort of this steadying of the ship kind of a feeling. We also have in support of that Pallas Athena moving out of Aries and into Taurus. Now remember, Pallas Athena is about the way in which we solve day-to-day problems. She comes with this sense of helping you strategize something. And in Taurus, there's a deliberateness, there's a common sense that prevails. There's a let's take our time, let's not be too irrational and impulsive. So if that sort of dominated the first part of the month and some of that Piscean energy has had you drifting away a little bit, as you move toward the end of April, you're going to feel a lot more secure in what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and the direction that you want to move towards. There may be some strong feelings around deja vu that are emerging as well, but you're certainly going to be putting some emphasis around your own wealth consciousness and how you are opening up to new sources of abundance. That includes love, that includes bringing in things in your life that make you feel good, because in 5th house we explore the ability to be able to produce, to create, to bring form, to bring life, and really to allow more romance and love to come into our world. Now, with Venus in Pisces, Mars in Pisces, Juno in Pisces, there can be this kind of slightly idealistic, overly romantic vibe where we wear the rose-coloured glasses and we want to be the saviour to everybody. So there is a reminder here to keep a strong sense of self. That's why your King of Pentacles is showing up here, okay? Helps you to have the courage of your conviction. And, you know, Pallas in Taurus is also about the tradition. Not the tradition from a place of rigidity, but rather from honouring. And I think that's interesting because you'll have just gone through this making sense of your roots, the sense of belonging, where you've come from, what matters, what are the things within your family that you want to continue. You know, maybe that's soul family for some of you, not blood family. How are you linking back to ancestral energy and where you really want to make sure that the wisdom is held sacred and is passed down the line. So there's something really significant about how that is showing up for you in the conversations that you're having. And that can be across the board, personally, professionally, romantically. It is just this deeper desire to want to make sure that you do things and you do them right. Yeah, you want to do them and you want to do them right. Now, so much magic is afoot this month, and here we have this depiction of the little girl in the tree and the owl reading from this storybook. It is the energy, of course, of the Hierophant, again linking into Taurus, and it suggests, what have we learned, or what are we learning? Yeah, we're always in a perpetual state of learning. There's something about you being elevated in your understanding, being given access to insight to something deeply valuable. And I think that's very helpful to come to an understanding or get to grips with something, okay? You're looking at the roots of things, and it's going to help prepare you for a deeper sense of emotional foundations. And there's also a commitment that comes in. I feel there's an important commitment that you're going to make, either to yourself or to something in your life. You may even discover that kind of a conversation or that commitment being offered to you, perhaps something that you've waited for some time. As Mercury shifts into Gemini right at the end of the month, right on that new moon, we're able to be a little bit more flexible and get our point across in ways that feel a little bit more inspired and forward thinking, and considerate of the future and where we're going, and looking at new solutions to old problems. And one of the interesting things that's coming through for this month is really about receiving answers to questions that we haven't even asked. And I think that this is one of those instances as we come in around that 29th, 30th of April, where something's going to inspire you deeply, because all of a sudden there's something new to be considered, new that's arrived into your pathway, or it's like a new discovery that's been made, and it might be on a much bigger scale, but for you personally it still has depth and meaning. Your King of Wands is a fire sign, Aries, Sagittarius or Leo, that might be relevant, but also we're talking about the expression of that energy. So the King of Wands is like fueling the Seven of Wands and up to the Six of Wands, which is wonderful, because it means that you've got the ability to keep that sacred inner flame burning. You're going on gut instinct. You're trusting in the vision that you've been given. You've got the strength to come up against the challenges and the tests that are being set for you this month, and you're going to be victorious in finding the sweetness there. Now, you're not alone here. There are other people who are part of that equation, or who are invested in the success. And that's the thing we also want to remind you of, Capricorn. Even though this month you're going to be going through things very individually and personally, and fourth house does feel it's like it's personal. Yeah, it's deeply personal what you're experiencing. But the ways in which you are able to heal, to grow, to evolve, to forgive, to have compassion, to show up for yourself and parent and nurture and nourish, it has such a profound positive impact on the people around you that you get to then rebalance like something in your world, particularly family connected. That could be community, close family, soul family. It's just like it's about bringing that sense of balance and harmony back in, because you've been able to resolve a conflict within you. And I think you're going to be surprised, even if you didn't feel like it was a huge deal, when you actually let go of it, when you can forgive it and just say goodbye to it, and you do it in a really enlightened, evolved way, then it's like you're gonna even the way you look at other people and the perception of kind of what's going on for you in other different areas of your life is going to go through a little bit of a cleanse and a purging and a clearance. And that's important, because what we need is you to be looking at things from this new future version of you. And this new future version of you is far more at ease with themselves, is ready to kind of let go of the conflict. Now, this Five of Wands suggests to me that there is something a little bit political that's playing out at the moment. There are perhaps one or two moves or things that you're going to have to do or to say this month that are going to feel a little bit uneasy and uncomfortable for you. They're not going to rest easy within yourself. It may be that you just feel kind of damned if I do and damned if I don't. I've got to do this, but it's not really what I would have chosen, and it's not what I want or what I asked for. And yet there is a little bit of a political move or an agenda that we all have agendas, remember. Sometimes we do have to kind of just temporarily allow ourselves to move through a particular pathway or situation, knowing that there's still a soul experience to be gained or to be learned. I don't really see anything super negative that arises from it. I just see you being annoyed and frustrated that you've been put in that position. So it suggests to me somebody putting you in a position that you're unhappy with, okay? But overall, this reading is saying, let's come back to the self. And remember, you're being reminded that, you know, sometimes it's easy to get very caught up in the external activity, but you've got to keep processing and assimilating what has been learned. That, I think, is going to help you to come to terms a lot more with any kind of conflict or disagreement. Now, these two kings sitting around the 5 also suggest to me there could be a bit of a fallout, some disagreement. It doesn't feel huge, but, you know, around these full moon energies and, of course, the build up to the eclipse, it can feel a little volatile. So it may be your experience that something like that happens or is playing out around you. Again, I think, you know, you're standing your ground, you're having the courage of your conviction, you're learning something from this situation. It may be rooted in the commitment or lack of to someone or something. There could be that at the root of it. But I also think there's something about announcements and what has been said or expressed publicly. And I feel somebody either trying to backtrack or navigate around it, or I don't know, that Mercury and Gemini energy coming in at the end of the month just could be a little tricky as well. So keep an eye out for that. But as I said, it doesn't hold a great amount of weight, and I feel like it can move through quite quickly. So don't allow yourself to get displaced and to undo all of the good work and where your true focus needs to be, because you're coming through as Empress energy this month, Capricorn. Yeah, so stay in your empowerment. There's a level of generosity that you can have and that you can give to people and situations, and a little bit more tolerance than perhaps you would ordinarily be able to express. But all of that is really significant in terms of you showing yourself that the triggers are dissipating. And again, that's what Chiron is here to do with that new moon energy at the beginning of the month, okay? So let's take a look at the astrological cards, see how they want to support you. Oh, okay, that wanted to come out. Abracadabra. Okay, this has come out a couple of times this month. So for me, particularly with this Jupiter conjunct Neptune, there's this beautiful opportunity to revisit and reevaluate what our relationship to magic is. And it's very easy to feel a little bit jaded and disenchanted when you observe certain situations or experiences unfolding. And yet, what is unseen, where that spirit realm steps in and provides these incredible signposts and signals to indicate to us how things can happen so fatedly, so beautifully, so serendipitously. You know, we have to get on board with that. We have to be open and receptive to it, especially in 5th house energy. That's what it's about. Let's be childlike again and come back in love with the wonder of the universe. And I know it's not easy to maintain and hold that vibration all the time right now, but to elevate your position, to reach for the stars, you do have to listen and you have to be aware that you are in control. There's an alchemical process here. You came forth to physically manifest things from the metaphysical into the physical. You know, so there's a grittiness to this kind of city landscape. Yes, it's come through, you know, hard-earned experience, but you haven't lost the hope. You haven't lost the magic. In fact, you're right up here in the stars. There's something written here for you, and you're now touching it. You're not far away from it. This is what I'm saying. The light at the end of the tunnel is here, and you're never going to go back to what was experienced. Remember that. Even if you feel like there are situations that come up that are similar, they're never ever the same, because your whole view of the world and your growth has completely changed that. Okay, let's have a look at the astrological card for you, Capricorn. Okay, you've got the 2nd house, physical security, possessions, material values and self-worth. Now, of course, the 2nd house is ruled by Taurus and Venus. So those Venusian themes coming through strongly, especially in the second half of April. You're going to be thinking about how your worth is now reflected in the relationships that are around you, what you're investing in. I feel like you'll be perhaps considering some significant investments. An encouragement to do that ahead of when the retrogrades all start, but at the end of the day, as long as there's a deliberate, intentional knowing, and kind of investigations, research, and you feel comfortable. That Hierophant suggests to me there is learning, advanced learning, or something that you might want to consider for yourself. But the 2nd house is also about really our material possessions. So there might be a bit of a shift or a change in terms of what's going on around that area of your life as well. A bit of a clear out happening, or you know, just, do I really need this? Does this thing remind me of this person? Or is it really necessary to kind of have so much of this? You know, so all of these things, having a bit of a stripping back and a clearing out as you come into a more settled place. It's like within the self, when the emotions have gone through a declutter and a sort of cleansing and a purging, then we just feel compelled to do that to our external environment as well. So I see that sort of happening for you. So this is the Blind Spot Oracle. We used this deck back in January, and it does what it says. It basically tells you where you may have a blind spot or something that you're disowning or not seeing. So we're going to go ahead and pull your card, but we're going to cover it off in the extended version of my reading. If you're new to the channel, you can find the link for this in the description and the comment section underneath Capricorn, and it's a way to get an additional 20 minutes or so insight into April's reading. We also look at your own personal question, so I'm going to invite you to just think about that for me just now. Just a heads up, my own Oracle deck, Life Soul Vision, is launching on Kickstarter this month, which is super exciting. I'm going to give you a preview of that in the extended reading as well, but you can also find the link in the comment in the description box underneath, and it'll also be posted up on my social media channels. Okay, so your personal question, Capricorn, we will cover off in the extended. Now, let's just clarify this main reading, right? So let's talk about the Empress energy. We have the Four of Cups. We also have the Arise, which is an additional bonus card that the author of this deck has brought in for us. We have a second Hierophant energy. I mean, Taurus might be a very specific sign that's showing up for you this month. We also have the Knight of Cups, Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer coming through. Two of Wands. Okay, we have the Eight of Cups. We have the Nine of Wands. Lots of completion energy as numerology-wise we get to the end of the cycle of the 10. That's important because we need to be creating space for what new things want to come in. The Ace and the Six of Wands, that's great for you, Capricorn. Okay, we've got the Queen of Wands, Four of Swords, Page of Wands, Strength, nice, Nine of Swords, World. Saturnian ruled card, and the Devil, both Saturnian ruled and linking in to your sign, Capricorn. Six of Cups. The Well, this is another additional bonus card in this deck. Okay, this Five of Wands, the Emperor, oh interesting. Ten of Swords, let's put one more for that. Six of Swords, okay. King of Wands showing up again. And then finally, the Three. Okay, thank you so much for being here. I wish you a beautiful month of April. And if you're joining me for the extended, I will see you there to continue this conversation. You take good care. Be sure to drop me a like and a comment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Be sure to check back in through the month and see how this continues to resonate as the energies unfold.